Morning. Right. I'll be honest with you, this is take two. Because halfway through recording the last one, the dog decided to take a crap and I decided to pick it up, and then the phone decided to turn off, and then the video was complete. So, and I don't know how you splice two videos together, so I have to start again. It's 9:15 in the morning. So I have broke with tradition of recording in the evening. Because the last 2 days, I'll be honest with you, have been pretty action packed. Sorry I've not been able to make a video, but I'll explain why. So where do I start? Right, Charlotte. So Charlotte's had a bit of a torrid time over the last couple of days. And I think something's kind of, I don't know, happened, twigged. She's had some kind of realisation. It started on Sunday. She'd been out with a mate all day, so she'd had a sleepover on Saturday night in Sunday, and then spent most of the day at a friend's next door having a sleepover. Anyway, she got back at about 4 o'clock, something like that, and she seemed alright. No different than she normally is. And then we sat down for dinner. I made dinner and we sat down at the table, and I could just tell that something wasn't quite right. I mean, Charlotte is beautiful, but she does have a resting, I'm pissed off with the world face. But this was different. She was kind of slumped over. And I just looked across and I said, "Charlotte, you alright?" And she just burst out crying. And now, the normal response to that would be burst out crying, run off and go and sit somewhere because she likes the solitude. But no, she came round to me and she absolutely hugged me with all her life, so I knew that something was different here. And I'd literally just put dinner out as well. And I was like, oh my God, what's... And she was just... I've never seen a sob like it before. It was like... she'd just realised the gravity of the situation that she was in. It's like, she'd pushed away the fact that her mum had died for so long now. But she couldn't keep those floodgates closed, you know what I mean? And she was just sobbing with every fibre of her body. So I took her through to the front room, left the other two having dinner. And... I mean, it's kryptonite, innit? When your kids cry, like you can't stay emotionally, neutral yourself. I mean, I was crying, but she was, and she just hugged and squeezed and was absolutely sobbing. And the thing is like, I mean, Charlotte's coping mechanism to that type of thing invariably is non-communicative. So like when me and Jenny used to go into her when she was having a nightmare, like to get her to speak to you and tell you what was going on was, that she just wouldn't respond. So I knew straight away that, me asking her what was the trouble. I mean, I was 99% sure that it was, it was the fact that this had dawned on her. But she'd gone super, like, I couldn't even get her to nod. Like, I knew it was that, but it could have been very slim chance that it could have been something that had happened when she was around at Olivia's next door or something like that. But I kind of knew it wasn't, and I was like, "Is this to do with your mummy?" And I couldn't even get a nod out of her. I was like, "Oh, jeez." So all I could do was just hold her, just squeeze her, just tell her that it was going to be all right, that I was here, that I'm not going anywhere. And we just sat there for about 3/4 of an hour before she eventually kind of brought herself round. And then she eventually did. And obviously we went and sat down and had dinner, and dinner was stone cold, so I had to heat that back up. And I kind of sat with her a bit, and then she was like, "Right." I said, "You tired?" I think that was it. Whenever she has a sleepover, she stays up till like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, "Right, you're tired. Why don't we go and get you into bed?" So I tucked her up in bed. Anyway, About 9 o'clock she comes back down and she says, I've got a headache. I was like, right, okay, that's kind of understandable. You know, you're tired, you're emotional. So I give her some Calpol and she went, yeah, but I can't sit down or lie down. I can only stand up. I was like, right, okay, explain more. So she's like, well, when I come on, this way. Oh, one sec. Hi there, you alright? Morning. So, where's Lacey gone? Lace, come on! So I said, right, I explained. So she said, right, well, when I stand up it's not too bad. When I sit down it gets worse. And when I lie down it gets even more. Now that's a big alarm bell in my head, because that is what I call a posterior headache. It's, you know, it's related to your posture, it's related to whether you stood up or sat down, which indicates there's some kind of pressure differential somewhere in your head which is causing these headaches. Usually the other way around. Okay, so when you have these, it's normally you're fine when you're lying down. When you stand up, your blood pressure changes and you get a headache. The fact that it was the opposite way around worried me. So I was like, right, okay, this isn't a Calpol go back to bed moment. This is, I'm now a bit worried about this. So, Lace. So I rung 111, got through to some woman who, you know, obviously has a checklist. And we went through this checklist, and of course, because, you know, we were half an hour on, the symptoms were beginning to abate because the Calpol was kicking in. Now, of course, Calpol is going to get rid of pain. It's you know, it's a painkiller, but it doesn't, you know, it masks the underlying problem. But this is the problem I find with the NHS. I've always found with the NHS is that they treat the symptoms invariably. Not that they don't pay much attention to the underlying cause. So if the symptoms are not there, they sit there and go, well, everything's fine. So I went through this checklist, and her thing was, well, I think you'll be all right. I'll ring you back in half an hour and see how it is. So I was like, right, well, I have to go through this process. So anyway, she rang me back in half an hour. And of course, her headache had abated a little bit. So she wasn't getting a headache when she was stood up anymore. But she did get one when she sat down and when she was lying down. And the woman, in fairness to her, could tell that I wasn't 100% happy with how this was kind of playing out. She's like, what's your worry? So I had to explain to her, I was like, right, this is clearly something. There's, you know, this is caused by a change in cranial pressure or something like that. And the fact that it happened so quickly. So when she went from standing to sitting, it was like 2 seconds before the headache came on. Now that's pretty quick. And I was like, that's not good. And she's like, right, just let me just ask my clinical supervisor or whatever it is. So anyway, she put me on hold. She came back a minute later. And she went, right, okay, I'm going to book you an appointment at the out of hours GP in A&E. And I want you to take her in and have her looked at by a doctor. So clearly the clinical, you know, supervisor or whatever could identify that this was not your usual headache. So I was like, right, okay. So anyway, I took her into A&E late. It must have been like, I think the appointment was 11:30 or something like that. And I took her in and we waited, as you always do in A&E. And anyway, we saw this doctor who I have nothing against, but when you're trying to communicate with somebody who doesn't speak very good English, and it's something as important to this, it really kind of winds me up. But again, it was very much, well, she's not got any symptoms at the moment. And I had to kind of force him. I was like, right, I'd like you to do a full set of checks. And he's like, well, she's not got a headache. I was like, just do a full set of checks. Like, you know, check her vision, check the back of her eyes, check her blood pressure, you know, check a pulse. I was getting really frustrated because I was like, do I need to do your fucking job for you? Anyway, he checked her out and he's like, yeah, she's fine. Which annoys me because it makes me feel like a fucking hypochondriac. It really, you know what I mean? Anyway, I was like, right, I'm clearly fucking talking to a brick wall here. So anyway, I took her home. She sleeps in the bed with me anyway, so I kept an eye on her. Unfortunately, touch wood, she seems to be okay. So that was the Charlotte event. I kept her off the following day, so on Monday. So on Monday, she didn't go into school, and I took her. I said, right, come on, we'll spend the day off. Because one, she'd not had any sleep. Two, she was clearly quite emotional. Three, I wanted to keep an eye on her, if I'm being honest with you. So I was like, right, okay, you can stay off with me. So we got up, we had a shower, and then we went out to Adlington, to Jenny's, to the memorial park where Jenny is, and we made a packed lunch, made a little picnic, and we went out. It was a lovely day. It's cold. It was a lovely day, so we went out and we had a picnic there, and we just spent a bit of time together, and then we went and saw Grandma, and then we came back and she was fine. This morning again, I could tell she just wasn't her usual happy self. 2 white feathers have just fallen in front of me. I'm having a few signs today. I'll get on to that. It's just not. I genuinely think that it's hit, which is fortuitous because yesterday I had the referral interview with Once Upon a Smile, which is for anybody who lives around Manchester area, which I used to. I live in Cheshire now, but I don't care. It's a phenomenal charity that specialise in bereavement for children, but they go about it in a different way rather than like I have, where I sit down and pull my heart out to some fella who tells me what's going on and all that kind of stuff. Or previously some woman who just kind of sat there and pontificated and went, yes, well, that's very sad. This is a much more immersive, interactive, the place, they've got like they with other kids as well, so they can do like cooking, they can do music, they can go and have a game of pool, they can sit in a Lego room and build Lego and all that kind of stuff, and the counsellors kind of surround them and kind of interact with them, but not on a in-your-face one-to-one basis. So I had that referral interview yesterday, and the timing was perfect because I could explain to this woman, who was brilliant, about what was going on. So we're gonna go and see them this week. So the kids are up for that, which is good. Lace, come on. So yeah, so that's a bit of positive news. So that's what's happened with Charlotte. Nothing much with Thomas and Isabel. They're just plodding on as usual. The next one is me. Right. So all I've wanted since Jenny died is basically for her to turn around to me and tell her that it's stupid. I know she loves me, but that one last time. And you also know that I'm kind of, exploring with an open mind, but an analytical mind as always. Lacey! I hate the word spiritual. I don't hate the word spiritual, but I think as soon as you say that word, people immediately, roll their eyes and think mumbo jumbo. But I think probably for me, I am opening my mind to other possibilities, shall we say. So I'm trying a bit of meditation, so the concept is, right, let me explain this. So the concept is that everybody operates on a certain vibrational plane, right? And in layman's term, the lower your vibration is, the more discontent you are with the world, if that makes sense. So, I went to Andy's Man Club last night, as I always do on a Monday. And there's some people there on a very low vibration, if you get my meaning. Like they are, if not, not suicidal, but pretty down with the world. And you can see, it's hard for me because I can kind of see, and I've got to be careful because I don't want to sit there and sound pious, but you can kind of identify objectively why that is the case. They get really obsessed with small petty things that really affect the mood, and they end up in this state of circling depression. Now you could say that they're on a low vibrational plane. So what I'm trying to do, not through any kind of boohoo whatever, is just kind of raise my contentness. I've talked about being content and being in this state of discontent, and what I'm trying to do is kind of just raise my contentment with life, raise my vibration. And there's a school of thought to say that if you raise your vibration, then you become more open to to signs, to signals, to communication and all that kind of stuff, if you believe in that type of stuff. And some people don't, that's absolutely fine. But anyway, so I've been doing a lot of work in that recently, reading books, trying to understand it, tried a bit of meditation. I really like it. I've always been crap at meditation. Meditation's always been one of those things where it's just me with my eyes closed thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner. But something's changed lately. I can actually cut myself off from the wandering thoughts in my mind and just kind of sit myself back down and just be in the here and now, and it really kind of sets me up for the day. So I do it every day and I like it. Anyway, so I've been doing a lot of that. Anyway, last night went to sleep as I always do, and I was having a random dream, like you have a random dream. This one was about fly tipping soil on a farmer's field, trying to get away with it, right? Seeing him and trying to sneak in and fly tip this. Nothing to do with Jenny, nothing to do with anything, just one of those absolute random dreams that you have. Anyway, I was snapped out of this dream like somebody had shaken me. That's the only way I didn't feel a physical shake, but I was snapped out of the dream like that. And I was awake, and Noah was awake. And it wasn't a vision like, when you think of something, when you visualize something in your mind, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like I was visualizing, but I could just, it was, the nearest I can describe was the lower half of Jenny's face over me, like hovering over me, and as clear as I'm speaking to you now, just crystal clear. It was, I won't say it was as if she was next to me, she was next to me, it was that clear. And she just whispered, Mike, I love you. And that is exactly what she used to say when she'd want to say it. She wouldn't just go, I love you, she'd go, Mike. Like, if she really wanted me to pay attention to it, she'd just go, Mike, I love you. And there was not even a shadow of a doubt. Actually, I'll go this way. Come on, you two. There wasn't even a shadow of a doubt in my, like, that was so clear. Like, it could have been like one of you two saying something to me. It was that crystal clear, and I was awake, and I was conscious, and I was with it. And yeah, she just said, Mike, I can't get down there either, it's really muddy. She just said, Mike, I love you. And you know, it's just those words that I've been waiting for God knows how long, since she died, really. And like immediately, this way, and immediately, like, I was in floods of tears, like, because it was just, you know, I just out loud, I just immediately out loud, I just said I love you too. And then I said thank you. But can't explain how real it was. Like, I know that some of you will be looking at me now going, oh my god, he's gone fucking woohoo. You know, I don't care. I don't care anymore. To me, it was as real as, you know, touching Charlotte lying next to me. And it wasn't. You can tell the difference, or I can tell the difference, where it's a subconscious thought. I've done so much work on this now that I can identify the difference between my subconscious speaking and something else. This was not subconscious. This wasn't my subconscious giving me what I needed. I just know it wasn't. It was, I can't explain it. I can't explain it. This wasn't a subconscious thought. This was something else. And today has been a featherful day. I made the kids breakfast, sat down to eat my breakfast, and a feather landed on the patio outside. And like I've just said, 2 white feathers have just fallen in front of me, and as I've been walking through, another couple of white feathers I've found on the ground in front of me. And I know, I get it, you know, some people, oh, whatever, but hey, you know, you either open yourself up to this shit or you don't. I know that one gives you comfort and one doesn't, so hey, take your choice. But I don't know, there's other things that I could, you know, turn on the radio, and this morning the first song that started playing was, like, immediately was Fairy Tale of New York, which was Jenny's favourite Christmas song. I mean, let's face it, another feather. Let's face it, you know, it's everybody's fucking favourite song, isn't it? But, you know, all I know is that last night was, or this morning when that happened, that was something different. So, yeah, what a roller coaster of a couple of days that has been. Just, yeah, definitely some kind of shift going on for me. And this is the interesting thing, right? So if stuff like, you know, what's happened with Charlotte would have happened a month ago, 2 months ago, this would have sent me into a downward spiral for a week at least. You know, it would have absolutely wrote me off emotionally. But now it doesn't. Now I handle it, I process it. It doesn't translate into that unbelievable negativity and sadness that it used to. It doesn't, and I'm going to take that as a good thing. Come on, Lace. Come here. Let me just grab my dog. Come here. Come here. Right, go on, Lace. Lacey, carry on. She's fine. She's just scared of every dog. That's why I've got hold of her.
Okay.
Go on. Go on. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm taking that as progress. You know. I think for anybody who, you've got two options. I've said this before. You've got two options. You can hide away from it. You can, do the whole time is a healer thing, or you can deal with it. You can hit it head on. You can hit it head on, and you can find things that I get the nervousness. To make a decision to kind of hit grief head on and deal with it means that you have to open that door. Another feather. You have to open that door. You have to confront it. And that's scary. Come on, this way. And I get it, that's scary. But you've got to kind of confront it at some point. And I get it, the the longer you leave it. Right, wait here. Let's just let this. Lace, come here. Sit. Maggie, sit. Sorry, one sec. Come. I get to an extent the theory that the longer you leave it, the less painful it goes, and then when you do actually confront it, it can be less painful to do so. But equally, there is a part of me that goes, well, okay, if you're going to do that and you want to spend a couple of years sitting in that grief cycle, that's not good for you. That it's not good for you psychologically, it's not good for you physically. Your body and your mind are pretty well connected, and I think I know that if your mind's in a bad place, your body goes into a fight and flight mode. Your immune system is your immune system is compromised, and that's not a good place to be. Come on. So you can sit there for months, years in that position until you're ready, or you can do something about it and choose not to sit in that immunocompromised state, in that psychologically compromised state. Getting up every day with the fear of dread in you. And I get the fact that it's comforting sometimes. That's something that I had to struggle with, is that there is a certain comfort in grief, that you don't have to deal with that guilt of having a good day. But Lacey, come on. Morning. But I think having the balance of those two, I'd rather take the brief feeling of guilt for having a good day, but then rationalise that out by knowing that Jenny wouldn't want me to feel guilty, and dealing with it and doing something about it. And that's what I'm trying to do. Long video today, isn't it? My eyes are gone. Jesus Christ, 30 minutes. Right, I'm going to stop. Let you get on with your day, because Christ, how are you going to listen to 30 minutes of it? Right. Anyway, have a good day. Speak to you soon. Bye.